All right, so here we go. Our commentary track on North by Northwest. Just a quick facts during the opening title here. It was released in 1959, directed obviously by Alfred Hitchcock, starring Cary Grant, Eva Marie Saint, James Mason, and Martin Landau, with a screenplay by Ernest Lehman and cinematography by Robert Burks. And as you hear now, the music by Bernard Herrmann and an iconic score.
Oh, Eva Marie Saint. I love her. I love her so much. I do too.
So this is a movie that came out like in the middle of like probably one of the most epic like filmography spans of all time, because what came out before this? Vertigo, right? What came out after this? Psycho.
Oh damn! Like, okay, see, I wasn't familiar with that.
Listen to like just from like 1950s through 1963. All right, he did Strangers on a Train, Dial M for Murder, Rear Window, To Catch a Thief, The Man Who Knew Too Much, Vertigo, North by Northwest, Psycho, and The Birds. That's like a 10-year span right there.
Of all classics. Yeah, you're right.
Like just all stone cold classic. There are some in there like The Trouble with Harry or that I wasn't that great, but like it's that like 10-year run from like 1950 to 1963. The dude was just on fire.
Yeah, it certainly seems like. I mean, this is sandwiched in between Vertigo and Psycho. Like that's nuts. Just those three right there are some of my favorite movies of all time.
And if I'm not mistaken, I believe he did this movie.
There he is.
Yeah, there he is. I believe he did this movie because Vertigo wasn't a major hit. It was a little more artsy, and I guess it didn't really land very well, and it didn't make a lot of money. So he made a much more commercial movie with this one, with North by Northwest. And you can, this is definitely a much more commercial movie than Vertigo.
Oh, I mean, you got look at Cary Grant here. I mean, yeah, not saying nothing about from Jimmy Stewart, but I mean, Cary Grant. Look at that guy.
This suit apparently has been voted. I forget. Maybe it was like GQ or something. I don't remember. The suit he wears in this movie, this like gray suit he has, was apparently voted like one of the most iconic men's suits in film history.
Oh wow! And it's just a plain gray suit.
I mean, it looks good on him.
It does. Well, I mean, it's Cary Grant. That's going to be a recurring theme on this show. It's Cary Grant, man.
So one thing I think is interesting. You mentioned Jimmy Stewart. Because when he was working on Vertigo, he was telling him the idea of North by Northwest, and Jimmy Stewart kind of thought that he meant it, like he was only telling him so that he could star in it. And then Hitchcock was like, "Oh no, I was thinking Cary Grant for the movie," and apparently, like he basically delayed starting production on the movie until he saw that Jimmy Stewart was on another project, and then he announced the movie, so that way he was like, "Oh well, I can't cast him now." So, because Jimmy Stewart did do a bunch of movies, he did that Rear Window, Vertigo, and The Man Who Knew Too Much.
The remake, Man Who Knew Too Much, right?
Yeah. Not a lot of people remake their own movies.
Exactly, but not a lot of people are Hitchcock.
So here's where we start to get our first, like where he gets in trouble with a case of mistaken identity here in a moment. I love these two dudes as like I don't know their names, the actors' names, but like these kind of thugs. I just feel like they just look like thugs. It's like good casting. They look like up to no good thugs.
Yeah. What are you talking about? Let's go. Okay, what are we, like 10 minutes into this and already like stuff's going down?
Like this is why 6. Yeah.
This is why I love Hitchcock, man. Just full speed ahead. No slow build up. It's just here we go. The guy's getting kidnapped.
And it's all perfectly set up. These guys were putting in him a call for this George Kaplan, and at the same time that he was like looking to send a telegram for his mother because like he forgot something in the car or something. So it set it up right away, and just perfect.
Well, don't tell me where we're going. Surprise me.
But like, who would our Cary Grant of this era be? I can't even really, and that's kind of sad. Like in our time of Hollywood now, like there was nobody like Cary Grant. I can't even say what the equivalent of a Cary Grant is today. Like that guy was just such a larger than life guy.
Maybe George Clooney, maybe.
I mean, he's not really that active anymore. He's more like behind the scenes, like director, producer type of guy. You know,
I was just trying
maybe
to think
like
of
20 years ago, I would say George Clooney.
I was just trying to think of like, you know, stereotypical handsome leading man kind of guy.
Yeah.
You know, because I think like our modern day Jimmy Stewart is Tom Hanks. Right.
Oh, I can agree with that.
But yeah, our modern day Cary Grant. Yeah, it's hard. Like it's hard because like it's not just that because Cary Grant.
Not what I expected.
It's not that he was a bad actor. He's a fine actor, but he was more of a movie star than he was an actor, right? Like he has a presence, he has like a charisma to him. Like he's got like when you see a Cary Grant movie, he's kind of always more or less the same guy, but it doesn't matter because you like watching that guy. Does that make sense?
No, it does. Absolutely.
Except when he's doing comedy. When he does comedy, he goes like way silly. I'm not sure if you ever seen Bringing Up Baby or Arsenic and Old Lace. He's like really wacky in those films.
I think my two favorite Cary Grants are this one and he did Charade with Audrey Hepburn.
Charade.
I love Charade. Charade's
a good one. Charade's a good one. It's a little bit of the opposite because in that one he's a spy and he knows what he's up to.
Yes.
This one he gets mistaken for a spy. And I love James Mason here too. Like he's such a slimy like little heel.
Mr. Kaplan.
I told you, I'm not Kaplan, whoever he is.
And Martin Landau too. It's funny because like the first time I ever saw him was like in Ed Wood when he was playing Bela Lugosi. So when I saw this movie, it was like just kind of so weird to see him so young.
Is it wrong that the first time I saw Martin Landau was in The Adventures of Pinocchio when he was Geppetto?
What is The Adventures of Pinocchio? Have we talked
about You've never seen The Adventures of Pinocchio? With Jonathan Taylor Thomas as Pinocchio?
Oh, I have heard of that.
And I know where I'm headed.
Martin Landau's Geppetto.
Oh, no, that sounds awful.
That's the thing about these movies. Like, you know, you can watch them over and over, and you can still feel the exact same way you did the first time.
Scotch? You drink it.
This plan always kind of interests me. Like like instead of killing him, like they like get him drunk, right, and like have him like drive drunk. Like, why not just kill him?
They can make it seem like, you know, he was just a drunk guy who just drove off a cliff. You know, it kind of absolves them of any, like there's literally no fingerprints on that from them. You know what I'm saying?
I like the look on his face as he sees the drink report. Just like that's a lot of liquor.
That's a lot of bourbon.
But I mean, it really doesn't make sense to do this plan, right? Like, just kill him, right? Like,
I mean, that would be simpler and easier.
What I kind of like about this is it's still kind of a lighthearted movie because whenever he wakes up, like he starts driving, like his like drunk reaction is kind of hilarious.
Even at his drunkest, that Roger Thornhill is actually not a bad driver. I mean, he managed to escape death like how many times?
And then here we get the iconic score. Yeah, see, if you guys would have just shot him, you wouldn't have to be chasing him down right now.
I mean, obviously this is all green screen, right?
Yeah. Well, it's not green screen. That's rear projection or something.
There we go.
Like the Mercedes product placement. This is what I look like whenever I have
the face. You're right.
This is what I look like when I'm like really tired and still trying to keep awake on the road.
Look at that. He's still pretty competent as a driver.
Yeah, his response time isn't terrible.
Look at that. He manages to avoid this guy. And that guy. And that guy. I mean, I'd argue his driving right now is better than Leo DiCaprio's in Wolf of Wall Street when he was on the Quaaludes.
That is one of the funniest scenes.
It really is.
Like, in recent history. Like, of him, like, crawling to the car and stuff. Like, you don't think of Leo
just rolling down the stairs.
You don't think of Leo as a comedic actor, but that was a really funny scene.
That was great.
You see, they try to kill me. He won't listen to me.
This reminds you of like in that Halloween special for The Simpsons when Homer got abducted by the aliens and they sprayed rum on him so they wouldn't believe his story.
Is that the Twilight Zone one where like where he thinks they're gonna eat him?
No, that was one later. where they did where the aliens kidnapped Bill Clinton and Bob Dole before the election.
Oh, like abortion for some,
Citizen
tiny
Kane.
flags for others.
Exactly. I would like to think that Cary Grant enjoyed playing drunk because he could be wacky here. This is like the only part of the movie he could be like wacky and get away with it. So I'm pretty sure he's having a good time here.
Just a minute, please.
Cared that he's like this handsome leading man. He doesn't mind looking silly.
That's part of his charm too. Like, I mean, somebody of his stature probably is a little more self-conscious, but not this guy. Like, he'll go for it.
No, Mother, I have not been drinking. No, these two. That was Mother.
Let's go.
Apparently, the actress that played his mother was only like 6 or 7 years older than Cary Grant.
That's pretty great.
How much would you say that you drank?
That is much.
It is my opinion that you would. If you do,
This is just so fun.
You, man, he's having a great time.
It was at this point.
Just in the middle of the spy thriller, he just is doing this comedy act. It's hilarious.
Assassin. 7 years, Your Honor.
You know him?
Is his lawyer? I think his lawyer is the guy from Dragnet. Did you ever watch Dragnet?
Mother.
I might have caught it on TV Land one or two times, but I couldn't remember it though. What I didn't know was there was a Dragnet movie with Tom Hanks and Dan Aykroyd, but
Oh yeah, that one's not good.
Right, Your Honor.
Counselor, I'm going to send
I would
this over
recommend
for
you
final
don't watch that.
investigation
well,
tomorrow at
FanFlix keeps
7:30.
recommending it to me for $3.99, so I don't know if it's even
It's
worth
not
it.
worth
At that point.
$3.99.
In the meantime, the
Mrs. Townsend, Mr. Thornhill was picked up last night driving while under the influence of alcohol and incidentally in a stolen car
Stolen car?
belonging to Mrs. Babson of Twining Road.
Roger, you said you were going to call a cab. You didn't borrow Laura's Mercedes.
No, I didn't borrow Laura's Mercedes.
Laura's
Thornhill has told us
mistake.
that he was
She's lying.
And I'm afraid he became even worse as the evening wore on. Finally, he told us he had to go home to
The
sleep.
gaslighting.
broached.
I figured this would go away,
United
but
Nations.
every time I hear the name Kaplan, I think of Gabe Kaplan.
He's addressed
So
to the General
it's like
Assembly.
it's kind of wacky for me. I hear Mr. Kaplan.
All right, so he's
I think
addressing the
of
General Assembly.
Mr. Gabe
Sorry, we
Kaplan.
had
Welcome
to buy
back, Carter.
No bother at all.
Do you mean you're not going to do any more about this?
Roger, pay the $2.
$2 for drunk driving, man. I guess.
Oh, I need to know what that inflation rate is.
I don't know. I'll look it up. Let's see. But I guess this is before they took it seriously, right?
Yeah,
It's the equivalent of about $21
that's still that's still chump change.
for drunk driving. $21
Exactly.
fine. I mean, come on. I love seeing these on location shots in New York, from the '60s or from the '50s, I should say. It just looks so cool.
Oh, yeah, I mean, in the credits, I recognize Grand Central right away. It pretty much hasn't changed in the 67 years after.
George,
Not for all the money in the world.
50?
Roger, you are disgraceful.
And she still takes the money.
She takes the
Anyway.
50.
Drunk drive.
Door handle in the middle of the door. That's weird.
Yeah, it is
She seemed to
weird.
think I
Yeah, these tiny ass beds in the middle. Oh my god.
was here.
One of those Simpson gags that I'll never forget is when the teachers were on strike
Roger, I think we should
and
go.
Bart kept getting rid of all the teachers with traps and stuff like they did the thing with Mo with the fake names. And
Yeah.
then what he did was he would cross off the names on his list, and one of the names he crossed off was Gabe Kaplan. Of course, at the time I didn't know who that was. When I finally found out who Gabe Kaplan was, and I saw that episode again, I laughed hysterically. I'm pretty sure it's inadvertent, but she did save his life. So
She pretty much did, yeah.
For dinner?
He just leaves his mom behind.
you know what it slightly reminded me of in Spider-Man 2 when Toby leaves Aunt May at the bank when Doc Ock shows up,
Oh, yeah.
and then Phil McHale is like, some grandson you have.
I like how the cabbie just doesn't question. He's like, yeah.
The UN? Sure, we could do that. Of course, the UN, I think of Scarface all the time too.
It's true. Yeah. You know what else? You know what? You know what movie I think of? Like a far cry from North by Northwest and Scarface. Superman 4: The Quest for Peace. Because he addresses the United Nations. in that
That's
movie
right.
About nuclear weapons.
Now, the receptionist, I'm pretty sure she's probably an actual receptionist at the UN because she does not sound like an actress at all.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Cary Grant's tan here is working overtime.
Definitely.
This is like the 50s, right? So Cary Grant was just like in his backyard by his pool, like suntanning without any sort of protective measures at all.
Damn right.
The way God intended.
What a life.
I feel like maybe this is just because this is in 1959, but I feel like surprisingly not hard for him to just walk into the United Nations building and ask for like an important person.
That's what I said. And now here's another mind bend right here. At this point, now I'm like, what the frick is going on around here?
Well, there must be some mistake.
Everything is just
That's me.
not what it's supposed to be, but I'm loving it,
Yeah. This guy seems unconcerned about all this.
Yeah.
Now, Mr. Kaplan, suppose you tell
Now
me who
he's
you
starting
are
to
and
get
what you
like
want.
suspicious.
Yeah.
Please, just a minute. Look, do you know this man?
And now looking back, I'm like, you dope. Why did you
Why'd you grab it?
Why did you grab it?
Also, I love the no blood on the knife. It's the 1950s and we still have the Hays Code.
That's right.
You get your fingerprints all over that thing. I love this shot. Like,
Oh, this is great.
it's a great shot.
Almost like he's a mouse in kind of a maze,
Photograph has been
And now we finally get some answers here.
In his defense,
But yeah, I mean, going back to that for a second, like, he just strolls right into the United Nations, starts asking, like, hey, can I find this guy? And they're like, sure. Here he is. We'll page him for you. Like, I feel you can't really do that.
Yeah, I don't think he can do that. No. Now, granted, I've never been to the UN, so I can't vouch for this, but I'm pretty sure it's a little harder than that now.
I would imagine there's probably a lot more security measures now.
We do nothing.
Nothing.
Typical.
That's right, nothing.
I love this guy. He's just like, he's serving our needs. Screw him.
Well, that's the government for you.
So I love how it gives us an answer, but it also gives us a new question. Like, it's like, oh, so George Clapton doesn't exist.
Well, that's his
But
problem.
who's this other agent they're talking about?
Yeah.
Very well, then.
So what I like here is
They
that
make the
they're
slightest move
giving
to
us like an
suggest that there
info
is no
dump,
such agent as George
right? So
Kaplan.
that now we do
If
get
any
the
hint of
suspense
Van
part.
Damme
Because
that
up
he's
until now it's
pursuing
been
a
more like
decoy
I
and
said,
said
more of a
about our
thriller.
agent.
Like you didn't know what was going to happen
Then
next.
our
Right.
agent, working
Now
right
we have
on the Van
now
Damme
that we
he knows,
know that
will
not
immediately
only
face
is
suspicion,
is he
exposure,
the wrong
and
man, but the man doesn't even exist. Like
Like
we
the
have,
brothers who went
we're a
to
little
war.
more kind of invested in
Goodbye,
like
Mr.
what's going to
Thornhill.
happen to Cary Grant.
Wherever you are.
He's not
This is
dead.
Grand Central, right?
I used on the
Or is
knife
that?
on the car,
Yeah, yes,
drunk
it's Grand
driver,
Central.
and I murdered a man.
You said it
Yeah.
kind of looks basically the same.
It looks basically the
And I won't
same.
have until I find George
Interesting.
Kaplan, who
I also
obviously
find
knows
interesting
what
that they
this is
shot
all
that
about.
on location because like they
Tell me
usually
the train,
don't.
It's safer.
They usually use sets for
Well,
these kind of
because there's
things.
no place to hide
Well,
on
I'm
a
sure
plane. If anyone
A,
can
permits were
recognize
cheaper
me.
back then. And like just like with the UN, I'm sure the security was very lax in the 50s.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
I mean,
Mother.
there weren't,
Yeah,
constant
goodbye.
terrorist threats on the city, so
Yeah,
they could probably afford to be a little more lax.
but I love the sunglasses. Like you think that
Like it's gonna make it
disguise.
like the Clark Kent glasses. Now this guy's coming up, the teller. I've seen him somewhere before. I can't put my finger on it.
Give me a bed.
Yeah, he's got one of those faces.
Yeah.
You can always go coach.
No, I can't do that.
He can't go coach. Why not?
Could you?
My assumption. Yeah, I was gonna make a comment about that too, but my assumption is
sensitive to questions.
if he has a
Will you
cabin, he
solve
can hide out a little.
Oh, that's true.
more.
You're right. You're right. That makes sense.
Hurry.
Yeah, Cary Grant's not stupid.
You're in luck, mister.
Aha! That was Ned Glass.
Oh,
That was Ned Glass, bro. Doc from West Side Story.
Oh, okay.
I knew I've seen that guy, but it's something prominent because otherwise I wouldn't remember him if he was just like a background guy. But that was Doc. Holy crap!
And here we get Eva Marie Saint,
Oh yes,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oscar winner. Eva Marie Saint. She had won an Oscar for On the Waterfront. a
On
few
the
years before.
Waterfront. One of my favorite movies.
What an attractive woman.
Yes, she is.
Thank you.
Now I wonder, does she know at this point that this is the fake George Kaplan?
That's a good question. 20th Century Limited, looking like the 20th Century Fox logo.
This wasn't Fox, was it? This was
This was MGM. But
MGM.
the carpet for 20th Century Limited train
Gotcha. Yeah, you're right.
looked very much like the Fox logo. Oh, just his toilet and not restroom or bathroom. They're very to the point. It's the toilet.
The people are just smoking. Like, no.
Like, it's the 50s. Nobody cares right now about lung cancer. I mean, go back and watch the old Lucy things on YouTube where she does the Philip Morris commercials. You know?
Yeah. You ever see those ones with the Flintstones doing cigarette commercials?
I think I saw one of those. Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Crazy. Okay, she must know that it's him then.
Yeah.
Because she invited him over.
Well, here we are again.
The brook trout. A little trouty, but quite good.
So,
Well, I would imagine trout to be very trouty.
I have to start pretending I've no desire to make love to her.
What makes you think you have to conceal it?
She might
Put a
find the
line.
idea objectionable.
Then again, she might not.
Ooh.
You've
Now, correct me
already-
if I'm wrong, my friend, but that line was changed, right? The one she just said?
I'm not sure. What do you know that I don't?
So, apparently, the original line
Time we were
was
introduced.
supposed to be, I never make love on an empty stomach. But the censors thought it was a little too risque, so they changed it to discuss love. It doesn't make
What do
any
you do
sense,
besides
but
lure men to
I
their
mean,
doom
whatever.
on the 20th Century Limited?
I get it.
Jack Phillips, Western sales.
The thing is, like, the
manager for
term
King
"make
Electronics.
love" back then
No,
meant
you're not.
differently than what we
You're
think of it
Roger
now. Like,
Thornhill, back
now
then.
it means basically
You're
have
wanted
sex.
for murder on
Right.
every
But back then
front
it
page in
meant
America.
like it
Don't
didn't
be
necessarily
so
mean
modest.
like that. It meant like
Oops.
making out or something like that.
Right.
How come?
I don't particularly like the book I've started.
So
There it
forward.
is.
Me? What does the O stand for?
Nothing.
Well, so he's basically Homer J. Simpson also, because the J stands for nothing there either.
Damn.
Oh, all right. That'll send some blood pumping.
Well, you wouldn't happen to have an extra pair of pajamas,
Look at
would
the
you?
background, everybody.
Wouldn't I?
Mhm.
I get the message.
No, you don't.
That's exactly what I meant. This train's
So before you know what her obviously we've seen this before. We know what her true intentions are here, but you have to wonder, why is she helping this fugitive, right?
Yeah. Well, she's being awfully nice. But then again, go back to it's Cary Grant. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure any woman would try to help this guy, even if he was a
patience is a
murderer.
virtue.
That looks uncomfortable.
And dudes just
Friend of yours?
wore those pants right up to their belly button back in the day. Look at this.
Look at that.
Good night.
I don't buy this woman's story for a minute. That's what those
I
eyes
know,
said.
they
that
didn't
guy.
buy her. Oof.
Hello there.
Like I said, that looks uncomfortable.
So in these old movies, you see these things they have to climb all the way up there to get to bed, huh?
Yeah.
I'm assuming there's some sort of ladder or something, right?
I mean, I've never been on a train like this,
why
so,
are
but
you
I would
so
assume
good?
now, if they exist, yes,
Shall I
it has to
climb
be like
up
a
and
ladder,
tell
or
you
stepper,
I
step
mean, I know
stool or
it-
something.
It takes longer, but I would much rather travel like that than on a plane.
Yeah. I don't know if they're that much cheaper,
You know,
though.
I've been
That's the
thinking.
thing. So,
It's not safe for you to roam
The plane
around
would be
Chicago
quicker.
looking for this George Kaplan.
like, believe me, I wish I could have taken a train to LA, which technically I could, but it's like a freaking, 2-day trip or something.
Such a
Yeah,
nice
and it
face, too.
probably costs about the same.
Yeah.
I'm a big girl.
Yeah. And in all the right places, too.
What a line. This is a very kind of risque scene for 1959. Like they said,
Yeah.
the Hays Code is still pretty much in effect.
Maybe you're planning to murder.
I guess they get away as much as they can.
Yeah, they're trying. I felt like they try to get away with a little more each year until we get to the 70s, where then it just became,
That's right.
who cares now? Let's just do what we want.
Train's a little
Yeah.
unsteady.
I'm gonna look it up. When did the Hays Code
What else do you know?
go away?
I think it was like either late 60s or early 70s when they finally got rid of it, but
1968.
there you go.
Tasting women.
I think Bonnie and Clyde was one of the first after the
Those-
Hays.
Yeah, because that movie's really violent.
Yeah.
In general, I think my only problem with sex scenes is that they look cheesy. Like they never look realistic. They always look cheesy and I don't know. I'm not against them in the sense of they shouldn't have them, right?
Right.
But I always do think
That's a good omen, don't
they're
you?
rarely done right. I feel like rarely do they ever look good. You want to make it look
It means you're
believable and artistic, but you don't want to go straight porno with it, right? So I don't know.
And I know some of these And even some of these older movies, like in the 70s and stuff, maybe going to the 80s, they kind of came close to being realistically, you could probably consider them a little porno. Like, what's the one I'm thinking of now that I can't remember? Now, of course, my mind is blanking, but once I get the name, I'll say it. But there's one particular that I'm thinking of.
Oh, we got a twist in the action here.
This
now we see that she's working for these guys.
This BITCH. That was my first reaction when I saw this. You know, like, oh, this.
And of course, we don't see anything that happens in that room. Just the next day.
The next day, yeah.
Well, these guys are not very observant.
No, I mean.
So I'm trying to like figure out like.
Mr. Thorne,
I'm just trying to look at this scenery here and see if I recognize Chicago here. And I'm trying to think of our Grand Station.
Oh, now the stubble's noticeable on Cary Grant, which explains the shaving scene in a little bit. But you can tell now that guy has been shaved for a day and already look at the stuff. I mean, presumably it's been like what, now 2 days since the movie started? Maybe 1 day.
This would be this would be 2 days now.
Oh, but I just remembered. So the movie I was thinking of before I was alluding to was Don't Look Now. The scene with that one. That's yeah. If that's not real, I don't know what real is.
Yeah. It is funny how he's just not questioning how she's helping him. Like he's just like going along with it.
Yeah. So obviously, he paid him for the suit, but he still told on him. Which is kind of crappy.
Snitch. These guys aren't being very thorough. There's guys right here like shaving. Check them out.
Yeah. I can't imagine trying to shave with that thing. That the tiniest razor on earth. I was just played for laughs, but I'm looking at like how practical is a razor like that, you know?
Now this doesn't look like the Central Station I know from Chicago, so I'm assuming this is a set, and it was also like 70 years ago, but still. So she is just knowingly sending him to his death, because she, like, where she thinks is going to be his death. She's fine with it. Well, not fine with it, I guess, but like how the road is pointing north by northwest.
And there you go, the literal middle of nowhere.
Half an hour from Chicago, huh? Half an hour from Chicago in any direction now does not look like this. It's all burbs.
There is a scene in an episode of The Simpsons where Lisa tries to take the bus to the museum and she takes the wrong bus. So she literally gets off in pretty much a scene similar to Cary Grant here. But what makes it funny is she passes a town called Crackton, which, as you can imagine, is very like urban decay type of town. Mm-hmm. So when she finally gets off here, she goes, "Oh, I should have got off in Crackton."
I just find it funny because there's not this much farmland like in any direction around Chicago like this.
Yeah. Oh, look, there's some plain over there, just dust and crops. Nothing to see here. Car! Game on!
That suit's still holding up, though.
Yeah.
Still looking sharp.
About to get some miles put on it right now.
So this is good. This is like Hitchcock building suspense here. We saw her talking to like the bad guys, so we don't really trust where she sent him. And now he's in the middle of nowhere. We don't know what's going to happen to him.
It's like why do you put a bus stop in the middle of nowhere?
I don't know.
I don't get it. But apparently people use it, as we're going to see in like a minute or so. But it's like
any passing car, you don't know what it could be.
Yeah. I love that shot.
So awkward. It is just fun to see like the how these shots are composed when there's like it's just one man and like just open country like this.
Yeah.
That plane's dusting crops where there ain't no crops.
Foreshadowing. What happened to hats? Nobody wears hats anymore.
Nobody wears hats anymore. Now you see a guy in a hat, they're probably a douchebag. Like only certain people can pull off like the hats, the fedora. You know, not everybody can pull off that look anymore. Wait a minute.
You gotta move, boy. And here's one of the most iconic shots of all time.
Oh, there we go.
Like every time you see any sort of like video package or something about the greatest movies of all time or whatever, you see this shot in every single one.
Yep.
It's so iconic.
He ain't gonna stop.
Not gonna stop. Here it is.
Yep.
It's such a perfect. It's just beautiful. Look at it.
Look at that. And I'm watching this on a 4K television, so it looks spectacular.
It's just so good. It's one of the best shots ever. And I believe that was, I mean, that was done in camera. That wasn't like a special effects shot.
Right.
It was a stunt.
Yeah, but it pulled that off. It was perfect timing and everything. You know?
And now you got cancer.
Oh, well, there goes the soup.
Bro, stop the truck.
Idiot. Lucky break for him.
It's a pretty good effect there. Just like, I love old movies, man, when they just, you want an explosion, you just blow something up.
Blow it up.
Another thing about that sequence, they like no music in that. It's just it was all just the sound of the airplane.
Yep.
At least on the truck. It's just the sound of the airplane and no dialogue or anything. It's beautifully, just such a beautiful scene.
Yeah, very tense. I love it.
Now this is definitely Chicago.
Now, is the ambassador still there, Adolfo?
You know, if it is, it has a name change. I'm not sure what it would be. Although, let me look it up here. Oh, no, it's still there, actually. I guess I've never been around it.
All right.
But how come I got a message from him at 9?
What's that?
Wait a
Putting it
minute.
together.
That minx.
Nothing.
And speak of the devil.
I also love how, like, these old movies, like the desk clerks and everyone just gave you information about other people's rooms.
Right?
They're just like, no privacy at all. Just like, yeah, he's not here. Or, yeah, he's in room 210 or whatever. Yeah, he's just going to give her the information.
Give it to her, yep.
Hello.
It's a good bit of acting on her part because she's like surprised, but she's also like happy to see him.
Right?
Happy that he's alive.
She hugs him, but he does not hug her. I love it.
South
I wonder who did the costuming here. All of her dresses are all like these beautiful dresses. that she's wearing.
Yeah, that dress looks amazing on her. I gotta say.
Made my mind up yet.
So according to the old wiki,
Go ahead. It can't
Eva
be for
Marie
me.
Saint's wardrobe for the film was originally entirely chosen by MGM. Hitchcock disliked MGM selections, and the actress and director went to Bergdorf Goodman in New York to select.
Nice.
And here it also says, I was right. A panel of fashion experts convened by GQ in 2006 said the gray suit worn by Cary Grant throughout almost the entire film was the best suit in film history and the most influential on men's styles.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, again, it's Cary Grant.
Girl like you should be enjoying herself.
He can make even a gray suit iconic. Yeah, but is it iconic enough that it has its own wiki article? Because I know of particular dresses that have their own wiki article. Like, I think the first one that off the top of my head is Audrey Hepburn's dress from Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Right.
A big favor.
That has its own wiki article. It's amazing.
I want you to leave right now.
A dress.
Stay far away.
Did a little detective work with that notepad there.
Now, what could a man do with his clothes off for 20 minutes? Couldn't you take them out?
They got away with that one.
Eva Marie Saint still alive, isn't she?
That's a good question. I want to say she is.
Yeah, she's still alive.
Trousers, please.
How old is she? She's 99.
Ooh.
Damn.
God bless her.
Good for her. Singing in the rain. I don't think I ever caught that before.
Well, unfortunately, now when I think of that, I think of Clockwork Orange. But although I have been meaning to rewatch Singing in the Rain after I watched Babylon recently again, so that's kind of a big part of it.
I still got to catch up with Babylon.
You never seen it?
No.
That one's hit or miss. So I'm curious.
I've
to
heard.
See what you think of it. Yeah. If you ever seen the old Family Guy gag about The Godfather, where Peter goes, "It insists upon itself." That's how I felt about Babylon. It insists upon itself.
Well, all the exteriors have been Chicago, so that's magnificent pair of Louis. I always hate whenever like they try to pretend the city is something else.
You mean like Gotham?
What am I bid?
Well, that's different because that's a fictional city. But like whenever they say like Toronto is New York or something.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
This is a good scene too. This is a funny scene that's coming up here, but it's also like
he has to be a little wacky here. Not too wacky, but wacky enough.
It's interesting what he's doing, right? Because like he knows she just tried to kill him. Like he could walk away, but he doesn't walk away.
Yeah, he pretty much did come blundering in there.
He was in your room. Sure, isn't everybody?
Oh, snap!
Thank you. Now I'll take it too.
Oh, and how he removes his hand. Oh.
What is it, like a clown and elephants? I can't really tell.
She's worth every dollar of it. Take it from me.
Damn.
Just laying it on.
You have no feelings to hurt.
Ooh. She does have feelings after all.
This whole sequence here is funny, but it's also kind of brilliant.
Yeah, well, I remember first time watching this thing. Okay, how's he gonna get out of this one? He could go back through the front of the stage, but then
number 109.
Landau pops out from there. God damn it! Now what?
$1,000.
1,000 bids.
Just sits on top of this lady here.
Now 1,500.
I still say 1,500.
I have 2,250. 2,250 twice.
1,200.
And now
2,250 for that chromo. How do we know it's not a fake? It looks like a fake.
You're a genuine idiot.
Thank you.
Screw
I
you,
wonder if I
lady.
could respectfully ask the gentleman.
I'm sure that would have got a kick there right away.
All right, I'll start it at $8. $13. That's more than it's worth. 3,000.
All right.
So I like now that this dude is gonna get involved just because he's just so mad, like
Let's take a little walk.
just so royally screwed up their plans. Now they have to like get involved.
And he's still trying to bid. I love that.
Drunk and disorderly, that's chicken feed. You've hit
Chicken
the
feed.
jackpot.
I need to bring that
Chicago
expression
police
back.
Capture United Nations
Yeah.
killer.
That's chicken feed.
My name is Roger Thornhill.
Now at this point, I'm like,
I want
oh,
to be taken to
crap.
police headquarters.
Did Van Damme paid the cops off or
Why do you
something?
think I sent
Yeah.
you, fella? I'm a mad killer on the loose.
You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Northwest Airlines, of course.
Yep. Alright, now we get some pretty big reveals here.
I don't think
Yeah,
I
we're gonna
caught
get
your
an info
name.
dump
I
here.
don't think we never interfere with the police.
We're gonna let him get you. We don't care.
Yeah.
Become necessary. No, Mount Rushmore.
Well, thank you. I've seen Mount Rushmore.
So is your friend, Mr. Van Damme.
Van Damme.
Literally the only reason to go to South
Rather
Dakota.
formidable
Nothing
little
happened in
tramp,
state.
wouldn't
No offense.
Calder
Mistress, you
Tramp.
know all about it. His
Mount
mind at ease
Rushmore
about
was
George
literally
Kemp.
just picked so that they could have like an action sequence on the.
Oh,
Yeah,
on the
I can
mountain.
see
Well,
that.
your job.
This reminds me of the in Wayne's World when they're on their hood of the car, the plane passes over them, you can't hear them talk.
Oh, not shot at.
It's interesting. His face is like. I never thought of this before. His face is like plastered everywhere.
Thanks to you,
Like, how are they
clouds of
going to
suspicion
clear
already
him
forming.
later? Like, how is he going to get
Thanks to
cleared?
me. Listen,
Exactly. Like right
I'm
now,
an advertising
without
editor,
the
a red
FBI guy
a
there,
job, a secretary, a
he's
mother,
they'd
two
probably be
ex-wives,
tackling
every
him, sending him to
bartender depended
jail.
upon me.
It's like
And I
how do
only
you
had to
pull that
disappoint them all
off?
by getting myself
Getting
slightly killed.
quote unquote getting away
The
with
answer
it.
is no. For using sex like some people use a fly swatter.
I don't suppose it would matter to you.
She's one of our agents.
What?
Oh no. My blessing.
Now this is a set, right? That Mount Rushmore, that has to be a
That looks
matte
like
painting.
yeah, that looks like a. Now this isn't a set. But
Yeah, this
before when he was looking at it, that was definitely a set. Because it looks like they did do a lot of exteriors on location,
Right.
but then for like close-ups and medium shots, they did either build a set or you know.
And I'm assuming also, like for the big climax, they weren't actually on Mount Rushmore. That had to have been. Like,
Well,
a
yeah,
set.
I would imagine not. Even now in this scene, we're gonna get a bit of a surprise that we're not let in on right away.
Right.
Just a second, you.
Stay away from me.
They would trust him to do this like little mission here, because like he has no training in this, you know.
Yeah.
You little fool.
You little fool. That's a nice shot right there.
Yeah, it's a really nice shot.
I wonder how many people thought that saw this and thought he was actually dead, like in the theater.
Well, the giveaway though is that the government agent guy pretended to be a doctor.
He went into the quote unquote ambulance or whatever this is. Oh, the park ranger. Okay.
I understand.
So that we're in
All in the line of duty.
now that we're in Mount Rushmore. Apparently,
I did treat you
Hitchcock had the idea of having like an action set piece
I
on
hated you for
top
it.
of like Mount Rushmore
I didn't want you to go on thinking.
before like this kind of movie came into fruition. So it was kind
I
of like one of
used
those
some pretty
ideas he
harsh
had, and
words.
then
I'm sorry.
this happened.
It
And
hurt
then
deeply.
the original idea was to call the
Naturally,
movie
if I
"The
know.
Man
I
on
couldn't
Lincoln's
handle it.
Nose."
Of course not.
Could I?
That's a little on the nose. No pun
No, I guess
intended.
not.
Yeah.
But
You did it rather well.
I guess Hitchcock has an affinity
I
for
thought
like
it was quite
doing the
graceful.
big climaxes on
Considering it's
places
not
like that. I
really
mean,
your
wasn't
kind.
Saboteur like on the Statue of Liberty or something?
No, I got into it by accident.
On
Yes.
Torch?
Excuse.
Yeah, that sounds right. So this looks like a
After
set
your
here.
malevolent friend
Yeah.
Van Dam takes off tonight.
I was gonna make that when they first pulled up to the when the scene first started. I figured it was a
No,
set
I can't.
because the background
can be.
looked like a matte painting, even though it is Mount Rushmore in the background.
Well, he has told you, hasn't he? Don't be angry.
Oh, we can't trust the government again. How about that?
She has to, even when it's a cold.
This guy, I know I've seen him
You fellas
before.
can't
That
lick the
actor.
Van
I'm trying
Dams
to.
of
No, I
this
think his
world
name is Leo G.
without
Carroll.
asking girls like her to bed
And I'm
down
trying to
with them and fly
remember
away
what
with them and
other
probably
movies
never
I've
come
seen him in.
back.
He was like a big
Perhaps you ought to start learning how to lose a few
actor
cold
in the
wars.
classic era.
I'm afraid we're already doing that.
Oh, he was in Strangers on a Train.
Don't spoil
Now, come
it.
on.
Now, please.
Okay. Bam.
He was in Rebecca. All these other. Oh, I know where I've seen him now. He was Marley's ghost in the 1938 Christmas Carol.
Oh, really? Okay, that's cool.
That's where I hit the chair during that phony fall in the cafeteria. You and your dopey schemes.
Otherwise,
Your
feeling all
dopey
right?
Oh, yeah, fine. Care to do me a favor in return?
Oh, now he's changed to a black
I
suit.
like a
huh?
drink. Could you get me
We gotta change it up at this point.
Can I join you?
Big climax is coming up.
Join me, but I'm
He takes a handkerchief. Why?
You never know when you might need one.
I love that. Like now that he's been in this adventure, he's just ballsy and just gonna do all sorts of crazy things.
Might as well at this point.
Stop!
Oh, excuse me.
Stop.
I'll use it now. It's Cary fucking Grant. Like, what else do you expect?
Yeah.
And ladies, that was my one F-bomb of the episode. That was allowed. So, I think I used it pretty wisely.
So this house, from where I was reading, doesn't exist. It's apparently was made for the movie, and this is like a matte painting. So I think this is a model.
Nice.
And Hitchcock wanted it to look like something that like Frank Lloyd Wright would build.
Which again, the first time I heard that name was on The Simpsons. In the Pooh song for the Who Needs the Quickie Mart, he mentions Frank Lloyd Wright when talking about Marge's hair.
Yeah, my man's just like in for a penny, in for a pound. I may as well just go along.
Yeah,
with the adventure.
now he's going full spy, which is great.
I always see this in movies, but I never actually like. I feel like this would never actually work.
Yeah, I agree. Especially nowadays, when people have like their headphones or AirPods on, no one's gonna hear that.
But he heard it. Microfilm, I feel, is like one of those old things that like
Heard nothing but innuendo.
is on all these different spy things, but like doesn't really exist anymore.
I've never trusted
Oh,
anyone.
no more it doesn't.
Result of deliberate-
What?
The gun she
Wait a
was
minute.
with, they've just freshened it up a bit with blank cartridges.
Love that he's not really used to punching things.
What was that noise?
This matter is best disposed of from a great height over water.
It's a great shot where he's talking about throwing her out of a plane, and the camera like tilts up on like that.
Now he's doing full James Bond here.
Yeah, this has to be a stunt double here.
I hope so. You gotta protect Cary Grant. You ain't gonna do that.
Imagine
He's not
climbing a
Tom
wall.
Cruise.
Yeah, right. Imagine climbing that kind of wall with like dress shoes on, like he has. Oh, you know what? The handkerchief comes in handy.
Look at that.
Look at that. I guess it's a good thing he did it. This tiny ass pen he's got. It is kind of brilliant how like they did set up like that he had his matches on him. They took his handkerchief, but like
Handkerchief, yep.
they set it all up.
Very good continuity there.
Oof.
He's heading
That was a
pretty far
close
on the
one.
north leg. an awfully.
This is the same housekeeper from the beginning, right?
I think so.
What's that fuzzy like thing on the couch over there?
Well, good thing that's not in style no more.
And now we're in the last, the big climax of the film. You are kind of wondering how he's going to get out of this one.
Yes. Now I alluded to at the beginning, we're in pins and needles when the whole mystery was being unveiled. Now we're like, okay, how's he gonna get out of this one? What's gonna happen? Are we gonna be able to save Eve?
We didn't talk about it, but the chemistry Cary Grant and Eva Marie Saint have in this movie is ridiculous.
It was very good. Yes, you could feel it.
I'm stressed, even though I've seen this movie before.
Yeah. Okay, looks like he's out.
Well, game's up.
Here we go.
You didn't think this plan through there, did you?
No time. You gotta climb. Oh, look at that. Great shot there.
So, yeah, this looks like it's probably done with matte paintings and rear screen projection and everything.
Yeah.
But it's very impressive.
Yeah, it looks great. Some of these matte paintings look so good. I saw some of them on the Warner Brothers tour that they showed us. Like the one for Abbott Elementary. That looks like a hallway. That I can't believe that's just a wall,
Let's go back to New York on the train together. All right?
Is that a proposition?
It's a proposal, sweetie. My wives divorced me.
Why?
Oh, I think they said I led too dull a life.
In dress shoes. You'd be slipping all over the place.
Was he able to climb the wall over at the house with dress shoes like you mentioned before?
Yeah. This guy again.
Watch out! Radioactive man.
I will say, for a female secret agent, she gets a little too damsel in distressy here.
That's true. I'm glad he's dead, but I love the old 50s falling down gimmick they used to do.
Yeah.
Who else died like that? I think what's his face? From Dune, the David Lynch Dune.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Geppetto's a jerk. Nice shot. There it goes.
It wasn't very sporting using real bullets.
They caught him already. He wasn't important to show that they caught. He's just there now.
Here you go. And in a second, we're gonna get the most hilarious imagery.
Who do you think he is? Stanley Kubrick?
Oh, Hitchcock, you know what you're doing. All right, that was North by Northwest. Thanks for listening along to our commentary track. I do want to just do a couple little quick things here about its legacy. It unfortunately did not win any sort of major awards. It was nominated for 3, including editing, art direction, and screenplay. And it lost to Ben-Hur for art direction and editing, and screenplay it went to Pillow Talk, so it didn't win anything.
Oh, okay, interesting. That's Doris Day, I think, right? Pillow Talk.
Yeah, in Rock Hudson. It is number 40 in the AFI's 100 Years, 100 Movies, number 4 in their 100 Thrills, and number 55 in their updated 100 movies list. And it at the time was a big hit, making roughly about $100 million in 2024 money. And yeah, it's currently not streaming anywhere, but you can purchase or rent it pretty much from any digital retailer. And of course, we will always recommend physical media. It is on 4K, Blu-ray, and DVD.
Yeah, but I think my copy's still the Blu-ray. I don't have any of the 4K Hitchcocks yet, but
Yeah, I don't
that
either.
Alfred Hitchcock collection that came out a few years ago. Well, at this point, it was like 10 years ago. Got it on one of those Amazon deal of the day sales for like $25, I think. Maybe I think it was a little more. I think it was like maybe 40, but it was an awesome deal. And you get like what 10 movies? I think more in that set.
It's a lot. I know like a lot of the major ones, like Rear Window's in there, and Psycho's in there, The Birds, I believe, and then those are the and Vertigo, obviously. But there's some of the ones like his early stuff isn't in there, like a lot of stuff from the 40s isn't in there, but like pretty much his 50s run and like some of the 60s stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Including Family Plot, which is like the worst move. It's like the worst thing he could have gone out on. It's such a boring movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is on that. But it also has been released like on. There is a 4K collection, and it's available individually 4K too. But I just don't have the resources right now to double dip on that. Or actually, at this point, North by Northwest would be a triple dip because I think I have it on DVD and Blu-ray already. So yeah, that was North by Northwest. Any closing thoughts on the movie?
I mean, like I said, this is one of my favorite Hitchcock movies, one of my favorite Cary Grant movies. This is just, like I said, just it pulls no punches, goes right from the get-go. You know, you're tensed up seeing him get kidnapped, and then it's just a wild ride from there on. So I love when Hitchcock does stuff like this. It just keeps me on the edge of my seat. And, you know, just I love, you know, the whole suspense aspect, and then going between thriller and suspense. Really, it keeps you on your toes. And what can I say? It's a classic.
Yeah, again, like I said towards in the commentary, that it is a movie that I think is timeless, and that anybody could watch it from like any generation, any age, and still get supremely entertained by it, because it's a really entertaining film just from start to finish. It like doesn't it doesn't stop to catch its breath. Really, it really only has 2 exposition scenes in it, and they're fairly quick and for the most part. And then, other than that, it's mostly just moving from one set piece to another, action set piece to another. Like, has 2 great ones in the iconic plane sequence, and then also obviously at the end at Mount Rushmore. But yeah, this is a great movie to like introduce people to Hitchcock to. A great movie for someone to like get into like classic movies in general, just because it just feels very like modern. But yeah, one of my favorite Hitchcocks. It's definitely in my top 5. My number 1's always going to be Rear Window, but it's definitely in my top 5, maybe top 3. I think maybe Psycho might be 2, and this might be 3. But
right.
Yeah, this is a great film. Oh no, but I forgot about Vertigo, so I don't know now. But yeah, so that's North by Northwest. I don't have a movie for our next podcast. Probably what I'm going to do is, if you go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/essentialfilms, I'll probably put up a poll to decide what our next movie will be. And then, so just stay tuned for that. I have a Substack that you can go to read some daily articles on. It's adolfoacosta.substack.com. And I also have a YouTube page. You can find me at youtube.com/Adolfo J. Acosta. Mark, what do you have in store for us as far as any plugs?
I mean, again, if you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm at SportsGuy515. I'm less on there and more on Instagram now. Again, at SportsGuy515. Again, I don't really post on there either, but I do put stories up, like when I'm out or when I'm doing something cool. Like I'll put, just like when I'm out in the city, for example. I didn't really get to tell you, I did a couple of Broadway. Well, I did one off-Broadway show. I did Little Shop of Horrors, which I've always wanted to see live, which is awesome. It was so good. And then I did the Harry Potter and the Cursed Child on Broadway. That was also an amazing experience. But that's just kind of stuff you'll see on my Instagram story. So if you want to follow that, you can follow me there as well.
Nice. All right, I think that about does it for us then. I hope you enjoyed our little commentary track. Let us know if there's any if you have any tips or recommendations for us on how to do it next time. But I had fun doing it this way for now, and for the future, I think we're gonna do it this way for a little while anyway. Stay tuned for our next movie, whatever that may be. Check the Facebook page for a poll coming up. And yeah, I don't have anything else. So until next time, please remember, especially in this day and age, always buy physical media.